This one's fine. This one, go ahead and talk. There you go.
Hello,
Whoa.
hello.
Check, check, 1, 2.
You should be fine. Yeah, the radio's fine.
What happened? That's I mean, my sister is listening on Facebook. She's saying she can't hear us.
Oh. On the radio, they can.
Oh, not on Facebook?
I mean, it should. Yeah. Yeah, they can hear you.
It's
This
fixed.
is
Yeah,
till
it's
after
fixed.
it
Yeah,
all,
yeah.
so-
Okay.
You
Okay.
can keep going.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. All right.
Want to start fresh?
And then we'll post this, edit it later.
Okay. So don't do anything with the Facebook and everything now.
No, just keep going.
Okay.
I mean, y'all can restart, but we'll post a shorter version
Okay.
without that.
Okay.
Fresh start.
Let's get practice.
Woo! Okay. Hello again. We just realized that we didn't have
The mics were off.
Mics were off. We were just chit-chatting here.
Such a victim.
Oh my! I cannot believe this happened, John.
Why
Oh.
didn't you turn on my mic, Nusha?
You know what? This is a good reminder. Maybe we needed to redo this whole thing because I learned now.
Yeah.
I didn't know about this, so I told John I didn't want to have any expectations, so I didn't do any research on it. And this was a fresh topic for me: drama triangle.
Drama triangle. So it's actually the dreaded drama triangle. And like to paraphrase, it's DDT, which like DDT is actually dynamite, and it's so explosive. But what it is 99% of people in the world experience drama, right? Like no one's drama free. I think the 1% is like the Buddhist monks.
Yeah, which
or like babies.
Yeah.
Right? There's no drama.
you don't live your life
Yeah,
if you don't
everyone
have no
has
drama.
Some kind
Yeah.
of drama. So 99% of people experience drama, right? And somewhere in the drama, so drama is just basically like a situation, a story, and every story has characters. So there's 3 characters. You have the rescuer. You have a persecutor. Persecutor. And you have the victim. So these are the roles. But what's weird is a lot of people think, well, rescuer, that seems like not really drama. But rescuers tend to always try to fix or save the victim. But what that does is it doesn't allow the victim to ever be empowered, to grow, or to rise above the drama. It keeps it like a codependent relationship of like victim, rescue, and then when someone gets mad, they shift and they turn into a persecutor, and then they'll blame. So
Blame themselves or
blame
the
themselves,
other person that's
person.
involved.
And it creates even more drama. So that's on the dreaded triangle. So just if you want, like, think back in your life, maybe this week, this month, a year, maybe a
Today.
Today, even a past relationship where it was like a big fight, an argument, and just what I learned this through a workshop, and we all sat and we just wrote down like, when was the last time I experienced drama? And I was like, oh wow, and then so I wrote down with who, and like what the story was, and when you start to write the story, you're like, oh my God, I was writing a story about me being a victim, or I was writing about like me trying to rescue someone and they felt like a victim. So this is powerful because we can identify anytime there's drama, like, what am I doing wrong? Like, or what's going on? Because this sneaks up on us. It's like subconsciously in our back of our mind, like we just fall into these roles by accident. But yeah, so these are the roles.
So, any given situation, do you have any situation in mind that we can use as an example and share that, like, just to figure out what the rules are?
Well, I know me personally, since I was a kid, when I was a little kid, there was a lot of drama in my family. And so I always try to fix the problems in the family. So growing up, I just assumed this role, and I just like
Wear your cape.
I wear my cape. Like my mom is mad
Uh-huh.
because my sister went out late, and so like I would jump in like, Mom, it's okay. Like, can I fix it? Da, da, da. And growing up in life, I noticed in my past relationships where I would date girls where I knew there was something wrong, and I was like, man, but I just want to help her out. Like, and what that does is it feeds the ego. It makes the rescuer feel good.
It's almost being selfish a
Yeah.
little to some extent.
Yeah.
That you still need the disease to please.
Yeah, it's people pleasing.
People pleasing.
People pleasing.
Yeah.
So that's something I've been working on, and I've taken like 3 classes about this. So what's good is it's almost impossible to say that we can just never be like this ever, but we can always be like conscious and aware. Every moment that things are going good in a relationship, and then boom, there's a fight. Like, do I want to keep the fight going for the next hour, 2 hours, 3 hours and fight, or do I snap out of it and go, why am I blaming you right now, or why am I?
Close the door. Go,
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, so you basically start blaming either yourself or the other person because now you feel like you did all this, and then now what? But if you, so let me ask you this: at a situation, let's say our victim is going very strong. What I learned in my self-exploring, is I always catch myself, not always, most of the time I catch myself, that there is something in the past that triggers this situation.
Exactly.
That, for example, if I, let's just say, this is very common for all the girls, and if you say that it's not for you, well, I think you're lying. Girls get jealousy, okay? You can be the most beautiful girl, you still have that in you, okay? Most of them do. And the reason for that can be anything from your past, from when you were little, and you don't know what happened because, or you growing up, you may have been with somebody that didn't give you the attention that you desired, and then that way you feel insecure about yourself. So any little thing brings those back to your mind, and you're like, oh my God, let me see what's going on, and then you get to that victim mode, right?
So that causes a trigger.
Trigger.
So not everyone, I would say a large majority of the population has some kind of trauma. It could be
childhood trauma.
like growing up in school, someone made fun of you, like once, just something silly, like some kid tripped you, and it's like, oh, life is not fair, like everyone hates me. Just some little trauma will allow you to like carry that drama story in every future
events.
event.
Yeah. So how do you remove those blocks from your childhood? Adulthood is not as hard because childhood, a lot of times when we're adults, things are under our control. I choose to show up the way I do in my life, right? But as a kid, I don't have that choice. Like you were saying, when you were little, it's not like you just woke up and chose that, oh, today I'm just going to be the rescuer of the family. Situation came up and you reacted to that situation, right?
Yeah.
So how do you remove those blocks from your childhood?
So let's just say this is a big piece of fire. And like when you're little, something bad happened and I gave you fire. And like you've been living with this fire, and that's anger, right? And so something happens that reminds you of that time that I made fun of you at school. And so now you're insecure as an adult, like, but because you're still holding on to that. So how much longer do you want to hold on to that?
Not one more second.
Right?
Yeah.
So there comes a time where it's like, if you didn't know that it was fire,
Yeah.
and you're just holding around, you're like, I don't know why, but I'm mad at you, and so like
Mad at everybody.
Like if someone triggers you, like you could be dating a new guy, and he'll just say something that kind of like triggers that point. For no reason, you'll get mad because you're still holding on to the fire. So, and it's a lot of it's subconscious. We don't know, but we're just like, oh my God, trigger, and then now I'm going to lash out and be a victim, or I'm going to persecute you.
Blame you for that, yeah.
So, for me, I can't speak for everyone, but I had to go back and like write down every single person that I ever felt that I did wrong to, or they did wrong to me. And it was like a list of like 12 people. And I was like, man, this one time I let this guy borrow $100. He took it from me. Now I can't trust my friends. Or the time like my parents, like my dad yelled at me, like I'm mad at my dad. He put anger in me, or
Mm-hmm.
not even yell, but just crazy stuff, just a lot of things. And you have to go back and say, like, that happened in 19 whatever,
Yeah.
1987. Like, how long do I want to hold 1987 right now? And the answer is I don't want to hold on to it.
You don't want to, yeah.
Yeah. So how do you let it go?
How do you let it go?
Yeah.
That's a question.
That's a good question.
That's a good question.
Man. So-
it's an everyday thing.
so
It's not just letting it go for one day and then you're done with it. But let me see. Okay, perfect. They can hear us. Okay.
So one of the big things is forgiveness. And like what I've learned is that forgiveness is one of the answers, but sometimes we're not ready. Like it took me probably 30 years to forgive my dad, right?
30 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
But when I was in my 20s, if my friends were like, John, you're still angry about that time? Like, just forgive your dad, why don't you? Like, I would just be like, you don't get it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You don't understand. He did this and that, and I'm a victim. But I don't know if it's you grow old to a certain point, or you just keep living life, and like that keeps surfacing, and you're like, you know what? I'm ready to let this go. Like this is getting too heavy, and where can I put it back? So that's where you go back and you forgive. And so for me, like my dad had already passed away, so I couldn't just pick up the phone and say, hey, I forgive you. So I had to write a letter to him. And I had to like meditate on it, and then I burned the letter. Hopefully, like he gets
it,
the
yeah.
message, and that healed a little bit. But I think every time I forgive my dad, for example, it forgives like that one episode of like him yelling at me. But then what about the time that he hit me? Or what about the other time that he yelled at my sister in front of me, or whatever? So like if I forgive him once, that gets rid of that. But then I've had to forgive my dad like a bunch of times just to get rid of these rocks. One little forgiveness doesn't, I mean, it can erase everything. But for me, I've learned like, man, I forgive you for the time that you said my grades weren't good enough, or the time you yelled at mom. Like these little things caused me to have trauma.
So, John, I have a question for you. Do you mind if we talk about that situation? Okay. So, do you feel like when you have that kind of mentality, like when somebody's on your mind and they're still there and you haven't released it completely or fully, then in that case, you keep attracting the same type of people into your
Totally.
life. Is that correct?
Totally, yeah.
And that's kind of scary. That can be a little scary. So I've been thinking about it a lot, and that's why, and that's when and why I started releasing things from my past, because I felt like, okay, I left that person for a reason, and now everybody that comes to my life has the same personality trait. So what's going on? And then in my healing process, that's when I realized that, okay, because I haven't fully let that go and forgave him and myself for everything that happened. So do you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like because the way we feed into that. Like, I used to feed into this relationship.
It's the law of attraction.
It's law of attraction, and it kind of it complements each other.
Yeah.
But then, how do you get out of that? And then you victimize yourself because the next person that comes to your life, you're like, oh wait, hold on. The first few times it's perfect, but then after that, I used to have this. I don't want it. So what's going on? Like, I mean, and then the digging is the part that it's hurtful, because now you have to accept. Now you have to clarify what's hurting you and the blockage, everything that's there, and then learn how to release those.
So my favorite thing, this is pretty basic, but just journal.
Journal, okay.
You write down like, what are you attracting? Are you attracting the same guys that, X, Y, and Z, they constantly do the same thing. So once you journal, you are more clear with like, why am I attracting A, B, and C types of guys? When you know what you journal, you can then manifest or create. So this goes into this.
Yes.
So
You
this-
want to talk about that
Yeah,
first?
this is,
Okay.
This is
The
so this is
ten-
drama triangle, which is pointing down,
Down.
which is like down, which is bad. Ted stands for the empowerment, dynamic.
You learning?
I'm learning.
You just
Yeah.
you are. I'm gonna test you. I'm gonna quiz Marcelo here
come
about
on.
your drama triangle.
I'm drawing my own.
You're drawing your own.
You know
He's gonna come up with his own triangle here.
No, the funny thing is that you know me, you know my story kind of. So this is something that if everyone could actually start, they can hear me.
Okay.
Trust me, these mics will pick it up.
Okay.
But the funny thing is, sometimes we just have to figure certain little things, you know. And like you just said, that journal, I started it a while back. It was hard to actually keep on it. But I work with my calendar. My calendar has everything that I do, and a lot of details you will find them on my calendar. But it's interesting what you guys are saying. It makes so much sense, but sometimes we just don't actually get it because we've never seen it like this.
Yes.
But now
on
that you
paper.
guys are kind of like
Yeah.
Laying
doing
it
it
out.
black and
Yeah.
white,
Yeah.
it's like it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
Anyways, I gotta get back to work now.
Okay.
cool.
Go back to. I'm still gonna quiz you on this.
Okay, fine. Next week.
So journals are cool, right? Journals tell you like what's going on today, or like, or just journaling about like my past 3 relationships, like what went wrong. So you're basically talking about the past. But the problem with any of these 3 things is victims always recite like, this is what happened, you did this and that last week, and you hurt my feelings last month, and da-da-da. It's the past. We're living in the past. Persecutors like, I blame you for this, from the past. Rescuers, trying to rescue. So, but journals are good because with looking at the past, we can identify what went wrong, what we don't want, or what triggered us, all these things. So from journal, being a victim or being anywhere, you can choose to say, well, now I have a journal. What can I write? What do I want to create? What do I want? That's like the biggest question. Like, what do you want? Like, if you won the lottery tomorrow, what do you want?
Exactly.
So just like the lottery, like, if you were given emotional freedom, like, what do you want?
Yeah.
I want a perfect lover.
A lot of people don't even know what they're gonna do with the money that they win at the lottery. Trust me, they play it just to play it and win. But then when you ask them, everybody wants to buy a car, everybody wants to travel, everybody wants to buy a house. And then what?
What do you want to do?
Do.
Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be, I think is the thing. So that's a good
So
question.
be clear on
So who do I want to be is I want to be a creator.
a creator. You get to create your own
creating.
reality.
So from your journaling, writing in the past, you can also write about your future, right? So that's what creators do. To get out of the triangle, the drama, like, I'm stepping away from the triangle, what am I going to do? I'm going to write what I want. What I do want is I want love, or I want no more fighting, no fights. I want strong communication. So that's what creators do. They're like, you know what? Screw this fight.
Yes.
We've been fighting for 2 hours, Nusha. Like, I don't want to argue anymore. I give up being right.
Yeah.
And what I want to create is communication with
Yes.
you, openness.
Yes. Uh-huh.
So that's a creator. From rescuers, how to rise up above being a rescuer is a challenger. So as opposed to me trying to fix things all the time, if I see you having some drama in your life, I'm like, Nusha, I got it. Let me fix it for you. Let me do this. Or I could say, man, Nusha, tell me, so you told me about all this drama in your life. I'm listening to you. Like, how can I empower you to grow from this? Like, what did you learn from this? What did you learn from your last relationship? Who are you gonna choose to be next time around? Or what is your? I'm challenging you to be a creator. So I'm going to ask you questions like, write down a list of 10 things you want to see in your next lover. So I'm challenging you to rise up to the top.
Yes.
Yeah.
Instead of being this person blaming you, you should have done this.
Oh my God, you should have done that.
You should have done that.
Girl, I told you.
I know.
I told you about that guy. What do you mean? You're not listening to me. You never listen to me.
Then it makes me not want to talk to you ever again. Like you're putting me down.
Yeah. So when you talk about like a friend, like people say, well, what's a good trait to be a friend? Like, it's a listener, right? Friends just listen. And then whenever you ask, like, I don't know what to do, I need advice. That's when someone can jump in and be like, you need help, or is it okay if I offer you some advice? That's what. So the coach goes in and says, you know, from outside looking in, from a third perspective, third party, I think you would benefit from, I don't know, going to the spa or like maybe you've been in like relationship after relationship, and you're like, John, I don't know what to do. Like I'm so stressed out. Every single guy's been like this.
Take a
And
break.
Yeah, I would say, well, have you? I wouldn't say, girl, you need 1 year off on your own. I wouldn't say
Yeah.
that. Like you should do this. So shoulds are bad.
No, don't should people.
Yeah, don't
Never.
should on anybody.
No.
So shoulds are bad. So what I would want to do is say, well, have you ever thought about just taking some time to like love on yourself and like know yourself? And you're like, no, John, I've never done that, but cool, I might try that, you know? Or maybe challenge you to like, just to like write the list, do the things, you know, but never just should on you or
Yeah.
or assume
Yes.
that you know, like you're gonna do this.
Yeah, and a lot of times when we share, we have to be very careful and mindful with who we share our dreams, secrets, and thoughts with. Because I learned that I used to I used to be very open about everything, and then I learned that a lot of times I get a feedback that it just scares me.
The discourager. So
Yeah.
persecutors are also discouragers. So the rescuer always tries to fix things. Persecutors always try to push the victim down.
Push it down. Yeah.
Like this person does everything so that the victim never comes up and learns, like never grows. But this one actually pushes down.
Pushes down.
So
Yeah.
like discourage. So like you can share, you know, your list of like, oh, I want this, this, and that. And I go, well, I don't know, Nisha. Like, you sure you wanna?
Yes,
You know,
you're
like-
dreaming too big.
No, you dream too big, yeah.
Yeah, no, there is not such a thing.
You
Yeah.
sure you want to travel? Like, I don't
Yeah.
think you're ready for traveling. Or
Yeah.
you know, you want to buy a house? What? You crazy girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the persecutor discourages.
So, like what we talked about in the previous segment, all of this I feel like starts from us and being clear on what we desire on our life, because not the same thing makes everybody else happy.
No.
Right? What makes me happy may be different. What makes you happy is different than what makes me happy or anybody like out there, you know? So for me to sit there and judge you and say, I can't believe John did this. You had it all going for you. What are you doing? Get your life together. What I was living that life or you were living that life? Let me ask you this. So I actually had a situation today, this morning. I was telling you I took this emotional intelligence workshop, and people that were sharing there, it was just interesting that everybody was a victim in that room. And I can't blame them because these are all older people, like they don't know what they're doing to themselves, you know, like just doing the same pattern and being in the same thought process for the past 20 years. And nobody told them anything otherwise, so they're just there. You can't fix all of this in 4 hours. You just observe. But I had shared this. I'm going out of town with my family, Boston, next week. And I told my coworker that, oh, I'm going out of town, very casually. This is last week. And then the instructor was asking, who's doing what for the holidays? And this is the room full of strangers. Like, I don't know who's in there. She's like, you should tell them you're going to Boston. I'm like, I don't want to say it. Like, it's not their business to. And she's like, no, you should tell. She raised her hand. I swear to God, she raises her hand. She's like, she's going to Boston. And then I'm like, did you just do that? Like, why did you feel like you have to share what I shared with you? So I was very polite. And during the break, I told her, I said, look, I respect what you did. And I don't know if you got excited or whatever. I caught myself being a victim at that second. I'm like, oh, somebody else did that again, because I used to have problem speaking up for myself. I used to be a people pleaser. I was not able to communicate my thoughts and emotions. I wasn't able to sort them out, so I would just like stay quiet. But then I asked her very politely. I was like, what made you feel like it's okay to share with everybody? She's like, well, you're going, she asked, and I said, yeah, but if I wanted to share, I would have shared. It was not your place to share that. Very polite. Like, I mean, I wasn't fighting. I wasn't trying. And I said, it made me I feel very uncomfortable. Please don't do that next time. That's it. And I smiled, went back inside the room. That's it. Situation is solved. Instead of that, if I didn't address it right there, I'd be thinking about it. Oh, I can't believe she did this. Then going back to work and talk to. See, you catch it. I caught myself. I'm like, someone else did it to me again. I cannot believe they're just, speaking up for me. No, I addressed it right there and there. That's it. So what I'm saying is it doesn't have to be a grand situation or event. Someone doesn't have to pass or, like you don't have to break up. You don't have to have a breakup or to come to this point. This is every day.
It's every day. Every situation like can swing a little bit to the left, and we have the opportunity
to fix it. And being clear on what makes you mad, this journaling thing helps a lot because it gives you the opportunity to think and sort out your thoughts. And it's not easy to journal. It's not. For me, at least, it's not because I sometimes record myself. It's easier for me than writing it down. So I just record myself. And when I hear myself back, then it makes a better sense because now I'm seeing myself and I'm hearing myself, so it's easier for me to connect with myself, if that makes sense. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have these two triangles. Can we talk about how can we jump from this one to up here?
So it's catching whenever there's drama.
Catching, okay. Like whatever situation bothers us, then we can just automatically catch it and say, hey.
Yeah, we know what feels good. When we're in a relationship, when work is working out great, we know it feels good. But the second you feel like there's drama creeping up, you got to catch it.
Yes.
And what you talked about earlier with the lady that was like, oh, raise your hand, you go to the thing. It's just open communication.
Yeah.
Just keep it open. Communication. Just say, hey, like what you did was just like, hey, you know what? You did something and it bothered me. And I just want to know why.
Yeah.
Because what she was doing was trying to rescue you. She was doing the work for you so that you don't speak up and grow on your own.
Yeah.
She wasn't blaming you. She was just like, oh my God, speak up, do this. Let me volunteer you.
Yeah.
But just open communication can solve that into just a 5 or 2 minute talk so that there's no drama. It goes straight into like you're creating you being you.
Yeah. I get to create my own life.
You get to be authentic in that moment.
Being authentic is the most beautiful thing that you can ever be because then you start attracting the same kind to you.
Yeah.
And people that are not in that vibration, they're going to fall off.
If anyone like talks like a victim, plays the victim role, whatever, it's like life is a movie. And suddenly these characters, the rescuers are going to jump in. Oh, you're a victim. Like, I love playing victims because I'm a rescue.
Yeah.
Jumps in. Persecutor like, oh, hey, hey,
Yeah.
what's up? It just creates that triangle. Once you jump into creator, these types of people will start jumping into your life.
Yes.
People that inspire you.
Yes.
Or they'll support you.
Support you. They hold space for
you.
you.
Hold space without smothering or without doing all the work for you. Or they'll challenge you. Like, gosh, you've been doing great. Like, tell me about this. Or like, can you?
Yeah.
Blah blah.
Yeah.
It makes you climb up.
When you're going up, then you wanna you don't mind other people going up with you too. But then when you're pulling yourself down,
everyone's pulling each other down.
Everybody is going down. This victim, poor me.
Yeah.
Like we say it all. I can't believe this happened to me again. I had a flat tire. This is 2 years ago, and on the freeway, I drive on freeway all day, every day. So this was the most random thing. I never leave my office to go get breakfast. That one day, I got to my office, and then I was like, I'm feeling really hungry. So I got up to go get some breakfast. On my way back, on a tiny bitty street, I felt like my car is doing some weird things. I get out, I have a flat tire. So in that situation, I swear to God, I got on my knees and I thank God for that because I was so happy that it didn't happen earlier or when I left my office. It happened in a tiny street where I'm going 20 miles per hour. So I can have control over the situation. So a lot of times things happen when you have that mentality of things happen for you,
Yeah.
not to you. That helps too. Because I mean, a lot of we don't want to get too personal here, but like things happen all day, every day, and then when something happens, like for example, I don't know, in a breakup, or if your boss, you don't get along with your boss, if you start asking the question that what is it teaching me?
Yeah.
Every situation and every
That's a good one.
person that comes into your life is teaching you something.
Like, what is the lesson? Right?
The lesson. When you have that kind of mentality that you're looking for a lesson in that situation or that moment or that person, then
So the lesson, there's two W's.
Mm-hmm.
From any scenario, any drama, any story, like breakup, getting fired, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you can be wiser. You choose. You can be wiser or you can be wounded. What do you want?
wiser. Yeah.
Me too.
You just open your eyes.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God. But back to authentic. I'll share something authentic is, I was sharing with you earlier, like
Yes.
recently going through a breakup, and maybe the first 3 days after the breakup, like I was creating a story, like, oh my God, like I need to blame someone, like maybe I did something wrong, maybe she did something wrong. And my mind was just going crazy, and I got to a point where I was like, wait, I'm blaming. That means I'm playing a role. Who am I being? I'm being a victim. And early in the relationship, maybe I was being a rescuer. And like, if I'm blaming her, then I'm a persecutor. But if I'm blaming myself, then I'm the victim. Poor me. So I'm like, how long do I want to play this little soap opera in my life,
Yeah.
in my head? And it's got to stop.
The cycle.
You
Yeah.
know? And I was like, you know what? I'm ready now to like give that up. I'm gonna give up that story. It's just like a DVD that I wrote in my head. I'm gonna give it up, throw it away,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna write a new story.
Yeah.
And what I did was I said, you know what is this teaching me? Like I invested months in this relationship, and what am I grateful for? So I started writing a list of all the things that I was grateful for in that relationship.
In that relationship. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was like, whew, man, okay, that felt good. And then I wrote down everything I learned, all those things. So now I'm wiser and I'm grateful.
Which doesn't mean that the pain of
It's still there.
It's still there.
But I read something, you know, y'all get junk mail, right? Like sometimes I get, like randomly get junk mail, and something told me to open up this envelope, and it was like this little quote that said, oh my God, what did it say? Pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. So you're gonna go through life, you're gonna experience pain, no matter what. It's gonna happen. Boom, something happens, you're gonna have pain. But suffering is holding on to the pain today, tomorrow, next year, 5 years. You know, how long do you want to hold on and make it suffer versus like pain, I learned, I give it up, it's over.
Over, yeah.
Yeah.
So you choose to be in that space, or you can just learn your lesson, be grateful for it, and that doesn't mean that you can just jump up and down the next day and then just be all like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I'm so happy. No,
You can't fake it.
no, you
You
can't.
gotta be authentic. Like,
Yeah.
you,
Be real.
Yeah,
Like
maybe
allow let all those feelings just sink in. Just let it be.
feel the pain
Yeah.
and like understand like you're human, pain happens. Like not everything is perfect.
Yeah.
And pain's gonna happen. You know?
Pain's gonna happen. You just have to learn how to fix, or I don't know what we can replace with the word fix, but the wound. All of us, we have those wounds, but how do we allow it to heal or heal
Yeah.
our wounds?
You
That's
pick at it and
yeah,
whatever.
or you just like
acknowledge, put the ointment. What I learned though, 10 years ago I was married, or I got divorced in 2009. So 10 years ago we had divorce, and every time my friends were like, "You were married? I didn't know you were married. Like, tell me about the ex-wife." and my story was horrible. It was just like, oh my God, she did this and that,
Yeah.
and da da da, and that was me, that was me. I was a victim because she was so horrible. And then one day I was like, I don't want to have this story because every time I talk about her, it's like, ugh. And randomly, when I thought of that, that week she called me up, and she's like, hey, I need to talk to you. There's been stuff on my chest. I want to meet you at Starbucks. I just want to like, just clear some things with you. I'm like, what is
Wow.
it? We show up, and she's like, I just want to apologize for all the times that I did this, all the things in my story. She was like, I want to apologize. I didn't let you see your friends, your family, all these things. And I was like, she was like, it was something that I was dealing with in my past. And I was like, oh my God. For her to release that and forgive me, that took me out of the victimhood. I was like, my victim story was done. But it took me, like, I think energetically, it took me saying, I give up talking stories about her because you're in a relationship and 90% of the time is good, or like 80 or whatever, right?
What? 80?
In the beginning. In the beginning, it's all good, right? It's usually all, but we stay for
Yes.
some good reason, right?
Yes.
There's
Oh
some-
yeah.
there's
There's
something-
always a yeah.
There's something that's good.
We forget.
Yeah.
When we leave, we forget. Oh,
Yeah.
there was.
But when we leave, we're like, well, because he did that and that and that. You know, like.
Yes.
But there was something that kept you there. So it's just how long do you want to hold on to the story? Like, it's a DVD. It's like me and my ex-wife. Like, how long do I want to hold this angry drama story? Or do I want to say, I throw away that DVD, and next time you ask me or anyone asks me, like, oh my God, you were married 10 years ago, tell me about it. I'm going to create a new story.
Yeah.
And the truth is, we were great in the beginning, and we loved the same things, music, and we grew apart.
Yeah.
Like,
It happens.
No drama, we grew
It
apart.
happens. Yeah. It happens.
No blames.
I love what you're saying because I can totally relate to that very much. And a lot of times people don't realize. What I didn't realize in my case was I was holding on to this story and I wasn't being responsible for myself, for my part. It was me that allowed certain things to happen and never spoke up because I was trying to be the good girl, the rescuer. Oh, I'm here to rescue you, so I can feed my own ego. And then until I realized that, then I was just sticking to my own victim. Oh, just, and then everybody around you, they're like, oh, we can't believe, how did you stay here? Why did you? But then it took a situation, and that it literally like broke me down, and then I started like picking up my own pieces, and then I realized that there's a lot that I haven't healed inside myself with that. So why don't I just start digging to those and see why I was trying to reject all of this and cover them up with my own emotions that say, oh, I already moved on. That's it. I'm done. I'm done. Yes, you already moved on, but you haven't healed yourself from that situation. That's what happens. It's very common. I feel like a lot of people when, especially with relationships, when you end your relationship, it's easier for you to just jump into another one, get busy with the next one, and you always attract the same kind of person and that's what you don't realize. Rather than just spending time on your own and be by yourself and explore all of this, and then more, and then some more, and then with that understanding, you can help yourself to bring a new energy into your life. Because jumping to another relationship is not hard. I mean, you can go out to a bar right now and get 5,000 numbers. It's not hard. Like, it's very easy to do that. But then, what am I doing with myself? Am I trying to not to be alone and feel that void? You're replacing something. You're not bringing a new energy. You're just replacing. You're just patching.
You're allowing someone else, like the rescuer's love, to like feed into your like if you're missing this love because somebody left, you're waiting for a new rescuer to put in
Yes.
love.
Yes.
When actually, if you feel like a victim, you gotta fill up all that love, and so that you're no longer a victim, and you jump up into
Very
something
true.
else.
And then taking ownership and responsibility for your part. For my part, I started taking responsibility that, oh, it was my fault. I should have spoke up. Why didn't now? I speak up in a very polite, nice way. But if something bothers me, I speak up. Hey, and then people respond to that much better than, it's not fighting, it's not yelling, it's not being a bitch. I'm not, unless I have to, yeah, then I don't have problem being it. But then I learned how to communicate. Hey, this and that bothers me. Stop it. So you get
Setting
a better
boundaries.
exactly, setting boundaries, which is another whole
Whole
topic.
topic.
Yeah. I really like this. You want to do a quick recap on all of this, or do you think it's necessary, or
Do
is
we
it?
have questions from audience?
Do we have any questions from our? Great job. Bhavin is watching, and we love you, Bhavin.
Hey, Bhavin.
I don't know if he's. Somel is watching. Hey, Somel. Lydia is watching. My sister is watching. Pani is watching.
Are there any questions from the
Is
audience?
there any question for us? Let us know, or they can message us later.
So I can give you some of the things we didn't talk about, or some notes that I got. But this drama triangle is a paradigm. Paradigms are old patterns that we just are stuck living because this is what we grew up knowing, and we just grow up like this. But one of all these are patterns of living in this triangle is protecting, controlling, avoiding, being defensive, like forcing an outcome, manipulating, resisting, convincing, trying to change, or withholding information. So anytime you feel like you're doing any of those things, just catch yourself like, whoa, I'm in a drama triangle. I'm withholding information from you, or I'm blaming, or I'm manipulating you. Catch yourself and say, well, what can I do? Just write these 3 C's down. Like, if it's with someone and you want to maybe step into a coach role, or a challenger, or a creator, that's where you ask yourself, like, where do I want to step up and be something different? Do you have a question? Or no?
My sister Pani has a question.
Sure.
It's funny. She's a therapist.
Okay, cool.
And she has a question for
Okay,
you.
let's
She's saying, how do we get rid of drama?
How do you get rid of drama? So, acknowledging or noticing the drama in your life is like the key. So, let's say me and you're dating or something, and all of a sudden, boom, we have a fight. Like, in that moment, like, just recognize, like, we're having a fight. Right? I think are we having a fight?
I can't even imagine that.
Oh my God, why are we having a fight?
Yeah.
So it's like noticing that there's a fight, that there's drama going on, and just, you don't even have to, like, you can just say, I give up this fight. It can end there, or you can say, you know what, I feel like I'm being a victim. You can start to put labels so that you know where to step into. From victimhood, you want to jump into creatorhood. So yeah, to answer your question, how do we get out of this? Notice that there's drama, acknowledge it, and then try to identify where am I in the drama triangle. Once you know where you are, you can say, well, as a victim, like, you have to acknowledge, like, I give up being a victim, and I want to create something.
Okay.
Because victims are powerless. Like, oh my God, poor me.
Yeah.
Everything's against me, the world, da da da. They have no power. So that's your chance to say, you know what, I'm tired of being a victim and powerless. I want to empower myself somehow. I'm going to create what I want or who I want to be. And it's hard to say, like, well, what do you want? Who do you want to be? But it's actually not hard. Like, who do I want to be? I want to be love. I want to be empowered. I want to be authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be truthful.
Truthful. Real.
Yeah, real.
Yeah.
So stepping out of it. So that's how you have to know whenever you're feeling like the shit's hit the fan with somebody.
Yeah.
And you just have to say, I've had enough. And how do I want to change this? If you want to, like, stay with that person, or, then you can co-create with them. If you want to stay with them, say, you know what, like, I know we're fighting, and I want to work this out with you. What can we co-create together so that we're both feeling loved, we're both feeling authentic, both of our communication is heard? But if you say, you know what, like, we're having a fight, I don't know that it's even going to work, and like, let's say I see my future going to Bali, you see a future of living in California, this isn't going to work, then we can say, I honor you can honor the past instead of blaming from the past. Like you did that, you did that. Just say I honor the good times in the past. Like
Yeah.
I learned so much from you.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for you,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna go from victim, and I'm gonna create a life in Bali.
Yeah.
And for
Yeah.
you, thank you for rescuing me.
Uh-huh.
Like I know that you do it with good intentions. I learned so much.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that you helped me with this, this, and that, and I'm gonna let you be free. And what do you want to create? And you're like, oh, I want to start my own business.
Yeah.
How can I support you?
Yeah. Coach you, yeah. Every
Not-
person
yeah.
that shows up into your life is a mirror
Yeah.
for you to see yourself, to better see yourself in them. That's how I look at it. So to answer your question, Pani, is to identify the situation first and then see where you fall from these three, right? And then decide, make that choice to how can you switch any of these to the
How do you-
top
yeah.
triangle.
How do you flip it up? How do you go
Yes.
upward? 'Cause
Upward.
whenever you're in a fight, things are going down. So it's like, how do I rise up? And then you're like, well, I feel like I'm rescuing someone all the time, and it's like it's making them feel bad. So like, how about I just challenge them? And all this, everything I've learned is not like something brand new. Cartman wrote a book on it. You can Google it. People have written articles that condense his book down to where you're like, you know what? Like, I want to know what kind of questions do challengers ask? Because to me, I can read a book, but when you give me examples, I'm like, oh, that makes sense, because I can apply it into my own life. The challenger will, instead of like, let me fix it for you,
Yeah.
the challenger will say, well, Nusha, I see that we're having this problem. Like, how about, what do you think would be a good solution? Like, I make you think, and I make you work. a little
Yeah.
bit.
For
So,
it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Then I'm thinking,
yeah.
and then I'm creating.
Yeah, because for me, just giving you the opportunity to
Yeah.
think on your own, you're like, oh my God, you finally get to step out of here and
Yes.
be that person.
And a lot of times with us saying the story again, we kind of like have the answer already in our mind that, oh, wait a minute, like, what am I even complaining about? Like, why am I even tripping? You know, like,
Yeah.
there's a reason. When you say it out loud, then it makes sense. I don't know, it works for me. Anyways, thank you, John.
Thank you.
Anything else that we want to add to this?
Oh, you know, I talked a lot about the traits from the drama triangle, but I want to talk about like how you can be up here, and some of those are giving things up. We talked about that. Forgiving, accepting people for who they are, always staying in the conversation of creating, because we can talk about the past all day long. You can tell me about, I can tell you about my ex-girlfriends, and we talk, you know, or I can like start creating a new dialogue. So creating the new, and just acknowledging,
Yeah.
like you could see drama, and you can fight and be right,
Okay.
or you can acknowledge and be grateful. You know? So
Control. Okay, sorry. We have. It's very much like focusing on what an individual can control versus which you cannot. Very true. Yes. Which is acknowledging that, oh, I have control over this situation and I don't. A person who owns control. I do choose to be a victim. I was trying to.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we always have a choice. We can be a victim, or we can be a creator.
Hi, Kara. She's watching.
Yeah. Thanks, JC. Thanks for the question. That was a really good question. But we always have choice in every situation to like rise above or just stay
down.
Stay down in the
Yeah.
drama. And it's like, in my point in life, I don't like to dance in this area anymore.
No.
And sometimes I get stuck in it. And
You pull yourself up.
and sometimes you don't even know. You're just like, you just stick into a fight, and you're just like, and then what I do sometimes whenever I get in a fight or situation or like an argument, I just breathe, get back to my breath, and go, like, is this worth fighting an extra hour? Is this worth a whole extra hour of my life to keep digging and knocking someone down? Or do I say, you know what? I wanna step up here. I wanna create something brand new that's never been created. Yeah.
Okay. I read this in Farsi somewhere. I'm gonna try to translate it. That it said when it rains, Some birds choose to fly under the rain. Some hide themselves. Some of them fly on top of the clouds so they can be on top of the rain.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it makes sense when you try, but in Farsi it just made so much sense that it's not about the situation. It's about how you handle every situation. So I thought it was powerful.
Yeah, it's also like the perspective too. Like you can go into any situation, even looking back at the past, and like your version of the story is your version, right?
Yes.
And you can make it. You can tell me about a past relationship, and you can say, "Man, John, but with that guy, I learned so much." Da da da, and I'll be like, "Man, that's a good story."
Yeah.
Or you can just like complain, victimize, da da da, and then you're reliving
Yes.
that victimhood.
Yeah, which is not pretty.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Easier to let go.
So
Thank you.
thank you
Jen.
so much.
Oh,
Yeah, I
this
appreciate
is really good. Thank you.
That was
Jen.
awesome.
Thank you. It's always great. I learned a lot. I didn't want to know about it, and now I know a lot about it. So I'm very excited. Thank you, Marcelo. Your
you,
quiz is
Marcelo.
coming.
Uh-oh.
No sound again. What are you doing?
What? It sounds fine.
No, it's back. So it's fine.
It was their
I was about to go Persian on you again.
Oh, damn.
All right, thank you guys for being with
Thank
us.
you, guys.
Happy Friday, Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and
We'll be
safe.
back. We're gonna be
Yeah.
back.
Oh yeah, for sure. About toxic masculinity and toxic. There's always feminine and masculine.
Or
so.
rising above toxic
Right.
masculinity.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Nisha.
River and John will be back on this show, and thank you for being with us. Have a great weekend and Merry Christmas.